Hey, it's me, JeGaysus, and I'm here with a video that I wanted to do for such a long time. Honestly, I'm like nervous to do it because I've had this idea and I don't have anything prepared, so I'm like, am I gonna execute the idea? I don't know. But come with me anyway, we're doing a new series. This is gonna be called This Week on Christian Reddit. What do you think? Yes, that Reddit, the only Reddit, the one that you know of. There's the most insane posts that come through on subreddit are Christian, and I started screen capping them because I was getting notifications on my phone and it would just pop up the most random times of the day, and I was like, we need to just track them. I'll put together a compilation of the best and the worst and the what questions that Christians ask from Reddit every single week. Let's see how this goes. So I don't have any prepared. This was an idea I had a month ago. We'll figure out a way to put them up on screen and hopefully they stay relevant. I also brought makeup with me because I have this P. Louise palette that I really want to try. And I was like, ooh, that'll give us something to do while we're talking. I don't know if I can multitask like that. So let's open this first and we'll get right into the actual Reddit. While we're here, I also just want to say thank you for watching this full video and liking, comment, subscribing. Anyone who knows my account knows I have a lot of shorts, but not a lot of long form videos, and this series might be a fun way to kind of break into that. Look how cute this thing is. It's a storybook. But I also have Patreon, and we're going on a trip to Turkey. So, if you're interested in going to Turkey, June 2024, right now, the price for anyone who signs up is $200 cheaper. The link is going to be in the description and in the bio. And if I can find a link for the makeup, I'll go ahead and include that too. So without further ado, let's first look at the palette and then start into Christian Reddit. Oh, it does have a mirror. These are like the pretty pastels. If you haven't seen my makeup unboxings, you should. I have a lot of makeup and I need to start turning it into content. So let's start using it. So there's a long story in here as well about what happened when I tried to get into Christian Reddit. So there's two that I was tracking. r/Christian and r/True Christian. What's the difference? I don't know, couldn't tell you. I'm using the little Rouge brushes. These are more face than anything, but I'm not doing a crazy look, so we only need a couple eyes. A packer and a blender, that's good enough for me right now. So on our Christian, I was able to talk and have some discussions. I got a post removed. I wasn't fighting anybody, I wasn't being mean. They simply didn't like the fact that I said hell isn't real. And then on True Christian, I'm allowed to observe, but I can no longer post because they said my name violates their guidelines. JeGaysus. I sent them a long letter. Well, this was a conversation back and forth. Firstly, letting them know that I don't usually reply. That's what this video is for. I'm gonna be replying to the comments right now. But also the fact that that's so Christian of them, banning me because of my username. And I explained my account and everything, and they're still like, no, it has gay in it. Let us start on number 1. Yes, I saved them all on my phone and we're going to be reading them from here. Hopefully I'll be able to just easily put them up on the screen so you can read them too. I started this project 9/11. Starting straight up with, after 2 decades as a Satanist, I'm a Christian now. Just wanted to share, I'm saved and I'm happy for the first time in a very long time. Happy to answer questions if you have any. Girl, I have a lot of questions. Firstly, why do people say that they are Satanists and now they're Christian? I don't want to do a whole no true Scotsman fallacy on this, but the fact that Satanist is by definition generally an atheistic religion. People do it as a political stance to go against organized religions, right? So I can see somebody going, just even atheist to Christian, but to go from a political active movement does make me feel like you're maybe in Satanism for the wrong reasons. I put on too much concealer. Oops. So I don't want to say you're never really a Satanist, because that's literally doing what the Christians do, and we hate that. Because maybe they were, but maybe they were the type of Satanists who like wanted to do a grunge effect and they didn't understand like the actual political implications. Because that is a really hard thing when you're going from being against all organized religions to being for organized religion. That's a really hard thing for me to believe. And I hate the implications in their actual posts. Like, I've never been happier. The happier for the first time in my life part. Like, you can be happy literally anywhere you are in life. Being part of a religion is not inherent to your happiness. You can find happiness anywhere. That one's kind of boring. Let's move on. Except the responses were funny. Like, praise God, hallelujah, oh my God. I think we're gonna go with this light blue on top. I am not used to pastels. And I've never used P. Louise before. It's not bad, but it's not Great. Okay. This person says, my stance on LGBTQ+. So this person went in and wrote a full-on testimonial about their stance on LGBTQ people. They had a friend for quite some time who I know was gay, but she's told me and trusted me with that. And I understand, and I just let it go. Does that make me a bad Christian? So many other Christians I hear say mean and rude things, and it doesn't seem right to do that. Right there. Let's just stop there. That's amazing. That's it. The end. Like, yeah, you see other people being rude and mean and it doesn't feel right, so you stop doing that. Thank you. Why would it be bad to do that? This is the thing. So much of this forum is just anxiety. It's just people freaking out because they don't know if they're good enough or bad enough, and that is literally their religion. Here we go. After that, they talk about how Christianity is in direct conflict with them because Christianity overall says being gay is a sin. So they say, anyway, the main point is that while I don't support and agree with the actions of the LGBTQ community, you can't disagree with the actions of a community, dear. We're not organized. What actions? Did we burn down the Empire State Building? What actions? I still love them. I want the best for them. All sins are equal. And I've also done bad things. Since I follow my religion, I will stand by it. However, do you think my friend will react negatively if they ever hear my stance on this? Is there anyone in the LGBT community who's okay with someone who's not supporting or agreeing? This is a genuine question. I don't want to start a war. They went from, I love my friend and I support my friend fully, to I actually am at odds with Christians because Christians say it's wrong, back to, well, actually, I don't agree with anything they do or the community, and say, but how do I tell my friend? And do you think that she'll be upset about it? Yes. If your stance is that all people within a group are bad just because they are in a group, your friend is probably not gonna like that. It's judgment. Being judged for something that you cannot control. That is not something that you should tell people, but more importantly, it's not something you should believe. And it would very much cause a rift in your relationship, as it should, because if you're going to be somebody's friend, you should support them. I hate the fallacy of, like, it's not even a fallacy, but it should be. I hate the whole, I don't agree with them. There's nothing to agree or disagree with. They exist. Yeah! Gay people are here. You can't disagree into a point where their actions are gonna be different, because they'll still be gay. They could never talk about, look at, or touch another same-sex partner again for the rest of their life, and they're still gay. So it doesn't matter what you do. It honestly doesn't. And that's the problem with thinking that something is inherently sinful. This one is just funny. This commenter is having a meltdown, had to go to Reddit, and said, I accidentally took part in my first communion. I accidentally took part in communion without performing my first communion. How bad is that? So here's the thing, I'm not Catholic, but I find this hilarious because it comes back to that Christian anxiety we were just speaking over. Why are they gonna sit up all night and wonder if something is wrong with them because they had communion? I'm assuming that they're Catholic. This could not be the case. Like, I know there's steps and you have to go through catechism and do certain things before you can be a full member of the church. For example, I know in the Baptist church you had to be legally, you had to be at least 13, you had to be a member of the church to take part in communion, and that means that, like, you assigned over your fealty and your unending support to the church itself. That's a church thing. That's not, like, a God thing. Why do you think God would be upset that you ate a piece of bread? Especially if your intentions were good. You know what I mean? People are way too focused on, is God going to forgive me? When they have all the best intentions in the world. There's that whole apologist point of, God knows what's in your heart, right? So just go with what's in your heart, bruh. There's layers. I forgot there's layers. Wait. The other side has layers. Oh my god. We have so many more color options. Oh, do you see it lighting up now? It lights up when you open it. Yeah, I think you're gonna be fine. It's a piece of bread and it's a piece of wine. You're okay. Stop. Just go to sleep. Go to sleep. Oh, it was a Lutheran church and his family is non-practicing Catholic. Here comes the next. I saw this time and time again, so I'll try not to talk about it more than once. But people out there really concerned about their asexuality. And I find this fascinating. So, somebody on Reddit asks, is it okay if I'm a Christian and celibate?
What?
How did we get here? Like, what would be wrong with being celibate? They didn't say they're asexual. They just said strictly that they're not having sex right now. We went from a time where everything was purity culture this, purity culture that. Don't have sex until you're married. Only have certain positions of sex. So why on earth would you think it's a sin to be celibate when you see it mirrored in the priests and the pope, clergy all around the world being celibate as part of their mandatory doctrine, and you're choosing it for yourself? Why would that be bad? It's such a weird anxiety to me, because are you okay? Are you okay, Christians? I don't think they're okay. I don't know what we're doing for this look here. I don't have light on this side of my face. Because what I can only assume is they're feeling guilty because they don't have physical attraction. I don't think this is actually about them choosing to be celibate, unless they're somehow choosing to be an incel, and then I think that would be bad, but that's not what the context is given in the paragraph. They're just not having sex currently, and therefore they're worried about it. My mom's coughing in the other room. I think that this person is asexual, and they're just worried because they're not going to fulfill the promise that God asked to be fruitful and multiply. And honestly, they're probably coming from a very quiverful type church, and if that's the case, they really do push into people the whole, you must replicate. You know, the more kids you have, the more you're building for God's army, etc., etc. And this person, probably feeling some certain ways, doesn't want to do that. And so they're guilt-ridden because they know that they're not going to be adding to that reproduction. They're not going to be adding to the church's numbers. Because on the Christian side, the doctrine is saying that you're having all these kids to raise them as soldiers to go into war. Go into war for Christ in the final days. But in reality, it's a Republican talking point. Circles back to the family about increasing the production of workers. Which kind, though? Ah, white Christian. Surprise. But literally, if you don't want to have sex, it's totally fine. You're gonna be okay. Christians, just don't have sex. It's that easy. And the other thing is, like, it's so interesting. Oops. Well, I can't see what I'm doing. That eye is very different, ain't it? Interesting. I find it very interesting that these people are introspective enough to really think deeply on these things, and then they still don't think deeply about why they're thinking these things. This one I did reply to publicly, so let me read that response, coming from one asexual to another. Okay, so my reply was, Paul the Apostle used to brag about his celibacy. In fact, Paul inspired entire celibacy cults. Later on, the Catholic priesthood adopted celibacy as a commitment to holy virtue. It's more toxically associated with being the entire reason why purity culture exists, and shaming those who don't wait until marriage. So the answer is yes, of course you can be celibate. Just make sure that you're doing it for you, and not because somebody is forcing you to be a certain way or ignore your desires. Celibate people can be emotionally fulfilled and live very happy lives. Girl, you know? This one I found interesting. So this person asked, why do Christians argue so much about whether Mary was or was not a perpetual virgin? So I want to narrow that down. It's not Christians, because that is a very specific Catholic doctrine. A lot of these r/Christian people seem to be very Catholic, but very confused. Literally in the Bible, it says Mary has multiple kids. Jesus has like 5 siblings. So why they're obsessed with keeping her perpetually a virgin, I don't know. It's definitely a thing. I'll give them that. It's a doctrine, it came from somewhere, but it stems from this point of needing Mary to be sinless. They thought, as a vessel, as the mother of Christ, to bring in such a important, powerful, perfect figure, then Mary herself also had to be sinless. It's just dogma. That is just from somebody pontificating in their writings later on. It's not stated in the Bible that that's how it has to be. So they will go through all these loops and jump through different explanations of why Mary is perpetually a virgin. And they will fight for that till the day they die. And in reality, it doesn't matter, because what's wrong with having kids? Like, let's say that the whole virgin birth thing is true. Starting with that assumption, okay? Mary had a virgin birth. So she was able to not have any semen, which is what this is about, and give birth to Jesus without the sperm that would obviously indicate original sin. Let's say all that happened. Good, her job is done. She had the first perfect virginal birth baby. Actually, it's not even the first virginal birth in the Bible. That's a different story for a different time. Now your job's done. You can go on and have all the children you want. In fact, if we're going back to that quiverful movement thing, you should be raising a frickin' army of Jesus's half-siblings. Why would you want her to be perpetually a virgin? I responded to this one as well, and let me tell you what I think it is. Because all sects of Christianity are obsessed with sex. Who's having it? Who's not? When are they having it? Is that before or after their vows? What gender are you having it with? Who's on top? Better not be the woman. What happens if you change your sex organs? It's all they think about constantly. Because the original question was, why do they argue so much about whether she's a perpetual virgin? And I think I hit the nail right on the head. Because they are obsessed with the idea of anything sexual. Think about it constantly. They're worried about what people are doing in their bedrooms. I think it's about the sexual repression that they go through, and by just the fact that they exist as Christians, it's how it's built into the denominations nowadays. Because if you think about it, the majority of the Bible is not talking about sex, and yet you go to any kind of sermon, right? And what are they talking about? The majority of the time, they're gonna have a talk about sex. It doesn't matter if it's an anti-LGBTQ sermon. It doesn't matter if it is talking about purity and staying completely pure until marriage. There's going to be a topic about the sex. I don't know what I thought I was doing here. Which is so bizarre because literally it's like the clobber verses. If we were able to look into every church to see how much time they spent talking about, for example, homosexual issues, and compare that to what's actually in the Bible, even if you wanted to use liberal count of how many times homosexuality is mentioned in the Bible, which is 6, unless you include Jude, strange flesh and all that. If you want to use that number of 6 verses in the Bible compared to all the thousands and thousands and thousands of verses in the Bible, why are they spending so much time covering that? It feels like they talk about it endlessly, and it's because this obsession with sex. And that, of course, would extend to Mary as well, because they want to control women's bodies, and they're very, very worried about what women's bodies are doing. So if you have a character that you've never met and you can control the narrative, why would you not insist that she's a virgin forever and ever? People, Christians, Reddit Christians. I don't know what this look is, but it's really cute. On to the next one. I think we should just do this until I think my eye look is done. Oh yeah, we're back to the blue palettes. Next! Someone responded to that marrying one. They said, Protestant, she is not, because scripture said Jesus had siblings, and common sense says that they had to have sex. Catholic, she is, because the Pope, the successor of the Apostle Peter, said she is. And popes are crazy. Don't even get me started on popes. The other day I made a video about the top 5 worst popes, according to the internet. And it's so weird because so many of them are such bad people. And yet they're treated as if they are the end all. They direct blind God or something. So let's go into this. Just as people in Christianity are so obsessed with the matters of sex and the heart, they are very, very obsessed with everyone else's religious beliefs. Instead of keeping it to themselves, they go to Reddit. You know, as one does. Let's move on to the next color while we discuss. I think I want to use next move. So this person asks, if a Christian converts to Islam and then back to Christianity, will they be forgiven? If a person converts to Islam, I like how they're already assuming they started as Christian, and then back to Christianity, will they be forgiven? What kind of question and concern is that? Why are people obsessed with whether others are going to end up in heaven or hell? The amount of comments I get, and I know I don't have to tell you, I know you know, the amount of comments I get of people saying that you're going to hell, this sin is this sin is that, and then they follow it right up with, I'm only doing this because I'm concerned for you. Why? They've brainwashed and tricked people into thinking that's concern. They're not asking what you need, how to make your life better. No. They are obsessed with thinking and deciding who is and who's not going to be judged. They put themselves in the role of God, and they come up with these scenarios. I don't know if this is a person they actually know, but I feel like often there's just random scenarios that pop into their head, and then they're like, oh my god, what if? And they have to go over it immediately. Honestly, how often is that happening? Why would they, as a Christian who believes everything is forgivable and it's all about how you approach it and your relationship with God, why would they be concerned with somebody who went through a process of finding themselves and landing on Christianity? Why would that make them somehow less than? And why do you think that is unforgivable? It shows the tribalism between people. It shows just how, when we talked about how concerned they are with everyone else's afterlife, but it definitely shows, yeah, that they think that there is an ultimate wrong happening here. Like, excuse me, your Islamophobia is showing. Because they think that being in Islam is so bad that there's no way God could ever forgive them. Mind you, it's the same God. So the whole time they're worshiping Yahweh on both sides of the religion. Why would that be unforgivable? It's just bizarre to me that these questions even exist and that this is what people are laying around thinking of at night. You know? Okay. This is my response, because I did reply to that one. JeGaysus says, not a question for you to be asking. You aren't God. You don't get to decide who is or who isn't forgiven. Mind your business and don't make other people's salvation a point of debate. It has nothing to do with you. Why are you making other people's afterlife a talking point on Christian Reddit? It's so bizarre. They exhaust me. Oh, this one I thought was hilarious. Oh, this one's funny. Okay, I think this might be the last one for today, and we'll come back with the next week on Christian Reddit. And I just want to like almost do a speed round with them. I got way too talky in this one. I'll just be like, look at this thing, ha ha ha. Look at this thing, ha ha ha. And then the conversation can really be in the comments. But for right now, talking your ear off. Doing makeup while talking is actually harder than it looks. Especially because you probably can't hear me because I'm like talking into the book here. I'm gonna have some magical blend moments. So. This person and all their anxiety, I think this is just coming from anxiety. It's the only thing I can use to explain it. They asked, what is the point of even getting married if it's not going to exist in heaven? What is the point of marriage if it doesn't exist in heaven? Girl, what? It's almost like marriage is a human idea, a contract between the people and the government. It has absolutely nothing to do with God. I think this is telling though, because now we know that this person is definitely not a Mormon, because Mormons believe that marriage is eternal and you get your own planet with your wives, but only if they're in the temple in the correct way. But how sad is that? How sad is it that they're already so focused on the afterlife that they can't focus on what's right in front of them here and now? They think something is only worth it if it's going to be in heaven, or if it results in a reward in heaven, or if it increases their chances and their likelihood to get to heaven. I think that's very telling and very, very sad. Because, like, same answer that I gave them was, here's a word of advice. Relationships exist here on Earth right now. And so I said, live for a better life now. If you find somebody that emotionally compliments you and fulfills you, then go with that. Don't be concerned about what's happening in the next life. If you can be happier and be a better person because of your partner or your relationship today. All we know and all we have is this life. So why would you ever skip out on having a really good, loving relationship just because you're concerned you won't have a marriage in heaven? It's just bizarro. Bizarro land to me. This is what I was talking about, like, I don't understand the Christian anxieties. These are the things that teenagers are sitting around thinking about and trying to get answers for on the internet. Because I think that the church is failing them. I think the church is not answering these questions in an age-appropriate way that fits in with modern society. And when you look to the book, all the answers you're getting is like, cut up your cheating mistress and send her in the mail. Advice that doesn't really apply, you know? And then they wonder why the church is dying. Well, maybe. It's because people got a lot of questions and you're not doing the work to answer those questions that they rightfully have. I'm actually in love with like being able to just flip over this palette and get to a new one. It's so cool. This is called Aligning My Future. Did I say that? Oh, well, I should probably pause this because I think it's saying I need to charge my battery.
Yeah, my battery for real died. So here's a screenshot of the final look. And let's just say that I love all of my patrons more than anybody in the world. If you want to join Patreon or become a YouTube member, you can click the membership button and get access to our Discord. Lastly, please come back for the next. If you like this, let me know in the comments. If you don't like it, let me know in the comments. Let's see if we should keep on doing this new series of answering Christian Reddit. And finally, please check the description for links, because guess what? We are going to Turkey in June of 2024. If you want to hang out with me and do makeup in another country and talk mad crap, then we can do that. Oh, and just for funsies, here's that same photo, but retouched to God. I'm gonna be rolling the credits of my Patreon members here. All my disciples, I love you. And yes, talk to you soon.